when I founded Triathlon Research, my original vision was to collect all the best information in the world of triathlon, information that I sought out personally from the best coaches in each discipline and in the entire sport of triathlon, and bring all that information together, film it, document it, and get it out to as many people as possible. And we've done this through launching a podcast channel, Triathlon Research Radio, which has had people like Mark Allen, Gwen Jorgensen, all the best coaches in the field of triathlon have come on the show or are going to come on the show. And we wanted to create one place for people to do that. The other way we've gotten this information out is recording live online conversations with people throughout the world of triathlon. Bobby McGee, Terry Laughlin, Seton Claggett of Tri-Sports, Gwen Jorgensen has been on there, Kevin Collington, Franco Vitero, and the team from Retooled. So everyone in the sport of triathlon has or is planning on coming onto the Triathlon Research Radio and Triathlon Research Live events. But when we got to the point that we built a large audience and we started actually talking to this audience on the phone, we realized that more than information, people wanted they wanted results. And information, I found out, does not necessarily equal results. When you look at something and see something, it's not necessarily something that you decide to implement. So as we thought through how to get people to move from knowledge to practicing that knowledge and then getting results from that knowledge, we decided to start the Triathlon Research Camp program. And this has been a phenomenally successful program that's helped triathletes show up, identify and achieve their objectives in the sport, where they are right now, and then what might be blocking them from getting to their goals in the sport. And fundamentally, we started a process as we were doing these camps to get people on the phone and coach them before we even decide if the camp is right for them. And the reason we do this is twofold. The first reason has been we limit our camps and the participation in the camps to a small number of people with a good coach to athlete ratio, and we also provide detailed biomechanical analysis testing and other things for everyone who comes through the camp. And I think more importantly, the other reason was for the triathletes' sake. Do they have goals that they're really interested in achieving, and what do they want to do in order to get to those goals? And if they're not willing, quite frankly, to put in the time, put in the effort that's needed to reach the goals that they've set, we advise them, you either need to change your goals, or maybe this just isn't the right thing for you as a camp yet in your triathlon career. So we've developed this process, what I call the Triathlon Research Inventory, which allows you as an athlete to look at yourself and see where you stand compared to the goals that you've set for yourself. And the Triathlon Research Inventory is a 6-part comprehensive checklist that we've set up that allows any triathlete to look at where they are, where they want to be, and determine whether or not they're willing to put in the work, time, money, or effort in order to get there. So that has been a revolutionary document and process that we've put hundreds of athletes through who've been applying for our camps. And whether or not they come to the camp or not, everyone who goes through the process says at the end of it, that was amazing, and we really appreciate this. So what I've decided to do now is make this available to anyone, even if you are not on our camp coaching calls, just to get this information out to the triathlon research community and help you see yourself and where you are in the sport. So the checklist consists of 6 parts, but before we get into those 6 parts of the checklist, the first thing that we do before we talk about any of that is, first of all, where are your goals in the sport? And I'd like to give some examples because I think it's really important before you start this process that you actually get really clear about your goals in the sport. So The first thing I ask people is, when it's all said and done and you retire and you're sitting on the porch with your grandkids telling, stories about your life, what do you want to tell them you got out of the sport of triathlon? Do you want to look back and say, I was a professional triathlete and won Kona 4 times. I was the greatest athlete in the sport at all times. Do I want to say I was an Olympian? Or do you just want to say, I completed a triathlon, I completed an Olympic distance, I completed an Ironman distance, or whatever your goal might be in terms of just competing. And then there's all kinds of different things in between, from just having participated and being able to call yourself a triathlete or an iron distance triathlete, all the way to the world championship highest level goals. There's all kinds of things in between that people are looking for, and that could be qualifying for Kona in their age group. It could be qualifying for worlds in their age group at a sprint or Olympic distance. So what I ask you to do is think about what you want to accomplish in the sport long term, and then write that down. And if you can, just write down that information right now. And don't worry, no one's going to be looking at this checklist, or no one's going to be looking at this piece of paper. But I think it's really important to commit to paper so you can see yourself what you want to achieve. And then after you write down that goal, I like to ask everyone, why is that goal important to you? Why is that important that you achieve that? And if you think about the reason why you're in the sport of triathlon, when I've asked people this question, they say typically, I really want to achieve results because that's what I do everything in life. I'm successful in business, I'm successful in work, I'm successful, type A personality. And that's really important, because I think if you can achieve something in the athletic realm of your life, it gives you confidence in boardroom and negotiations and standing in front of people and teaching, or whatever you happen to be doing. That based on your weekend adventures, that you're just at the next level personally, and really in touch with yourself spiritually, physically, and emotionally, and all the different things it takes to succeed as a triathlete. So that might be a reason. The other reason might just be, I want to be healthy, I want to look good, I want to be physically connected, because in this modern world, most of us comparatively don't work nearly as hard as our ancestors did, even 50, 100 years ago in the factory, or 200 years ago in the fields where most people worked. So, those are the two big motivations that people might say why. And then after you say why, write down that reason I call the first why triathlon's important to you. Then I ask them, well, why is that reason, or why is that rationale important? So let me give you an example. Why do you want to achieve so much in every area of your life? Why is that important to you? And this gets way out of triathlon and gets into your psychology of who you are as a person. But some people will say some really profound things, like, I was the oldest child and my father expected a lot out of me, and that's just in my DNA now. Or I never got enough attention as a child, and achievement was the way for me to get attention from my parents or teachers or whoever. And when you write down that second why, you really start to actually peel back who you are as a person. So you've gone from a simple goal in triathlon now to who you are as a person. And then finally, I ask them, if you say, well, why is it important, or why are you built that way? Just go a level deeper. Why do you feel the need to continue achieving in everything in your life? And why do you think it's important to impress your parents or your brothers or your friends around you? And sometimes people come to some really profound realizations around that. So on the other side, if you're health motivated, a lot of times I've had people say, my dad died early, or my grandparents died early, or someone in my family has had health problems, and I just don't want to see that happen to my children. I want my family and wife to see me grow old, and whatever your motivation is for health, it's really powerful. And based on your personality, that because triathlon is so grueling and demanding, that you need that focus in order to keep yourself on track for your fitness goals. So I think triathlon is just really powerful metaphor for life and what you're trying to achieve. And if you really dig deep into who you are and what motivates you, it allows you to attach some meaning to your goals. So it's not just about making worlds, it's about or making Kona or whatever. It's about becoming a better person. And what is that, what is that worth to you? And as I've gone through this process, I've found that there's really three types of triathletes motivated, the three big motivations of triathletes. The first type are the race junkies, the people that absolutely love getting on the starting line. And as a New York City firefighter told me on the phone, I just love looking at everyone on the starting line and knowing that I'm going to beat all of them at this race. And maybe some more choice language he used, but the other type, the second type of triathlete, is the I call it the tri-geek, the one that really loves to dial in and watch YouTube videos and plan their workouts and really just loves the science and the art of the sport and putting it all together. And those people are very process oriented. And then the final type of triathlete that we work with is what I call a lifestyle triathlete. And these are people that not necessarily in love with racing or don't spend a lot of time geeking out about the sport and every little detail, but they view triathlon as a metaphor for life, and those long bike rides or those grueling runs or swims or races give them confidence in every area of their life. And that's why they love doing what they do in the sport. It's really just a microcosm of living a more holistic life where you've got a goal and objective and you're physically exerting yourself, and that just makes you a better person. So when you look at all these three different types, I would just encourage you, before you move on to the next part of the checklist, and we're going to go over that in the next video, is really just take the time right now to write down what your goal is in the sport, what you want to do when it's all said and done, what you want to tell your grandkids when they're rocking on your knee, why that's important to you, why your main motivation is important to you, and really just ask yourself a couple times so that when you get to the level of finding out your base motivations for why you're doing everything in the sport. And then also look at what type of triathlete you are. Are you a triathlon junkie, a tri-geek who loves to just geek out on the sport and learn and understand the process? Are you a racing adrenaline junkie, someone who just needs that competition and the hit of adrenaline that you get from racing? Or are you just a lifestyle triathlete, or a combination of all three of those, or which one of those sounds most important to you, which one of those sounds least? So just really encourage you to type yourself as a triathlete and comment. If you want to comment below the video on what you figured out watching this video about yourself, and just start a discussion. We're going to have a lot of people participating in this conversation, so just encourage you to put in that information. And the next video, we're going to start working through the 6-step triathlon research checklist on doing an inventory of yourself as a triathlete. And we're going to start with the things that will make you fastest right away, and go all the way through until the very, I guess the hardest things to master, but maybe the most impactful things. So that will be the next video, so make sure that you stay tuned and join us. And again, if you're interested in going through this process with some help, we're also offering free triathlon coaching consultations for people who'd like to go through this with one of our triathlon research certified coaches. So we'll talk to you in the next video about your triathlon checklist.